Hey everyone, welcome back to my third race. This is the CBR Dominguez Hills race, category 5 with greens. It was 20 minutes long in Carson, California. So this race actually started at 9 a.m., so I got a bit more time to sleep in, which was very nice. My average speed this race was 27.6 and average power was 238 and 216 for average power. The max speed was 36 and max power was a little under 1300. So the power number is actually pretty significant because 238 was the normalized power, and that's excluding all the times where I was just sitting and doing 0 watts. And to have 238 be a big difference between 216 and 238, it doesn't seem like much, but that's a pretty significant difference because during this race you can see going into turns we're doing basically 0 watts, like people aren't pedaling, and then coming right out of the turn everyone just stands up and just almost sprints out of the corners. This was a standard 4-corner crit, and so every single lap it was very consistent of just not pedaling into a corner and then sprinting out of it. So our field size was about 60 people, which was pretty crowded, so it made it pretty hard to move up, and there was really no way of avoiding the surginess going into the corners unless you're at the very front, and I just couldn't do that. I stayed normally towards the back. So in the beginning part of the race, I tried my best to kind of test the waters while I was just sitting on the back. I was seeing how on the inside it was very sketchy because it was so crowded. So I was trying to move up around the outside, but obviously you're taking a much wider line and having to do the same amount of surges as everyone else except covering more distance. So later on in the race I figured out that this is kind of a not so good strategy. As you can see, I'm kind of losing positions here, but I'm doing basically the same effort as people. So moving on into the race, I do switch towards the inside, and following this guy in the light blue jersey right in front of me, something interesting happens in this corner. People start braking, and I had to jam on the brakes there, and coming right out of the corner, I'm having to do 700 watts just to pick back up. That was just not fun. It really just wasn't fun taking the inside line and just being in this big crowd of people. I mean, I couldn't imagine what it's like mid-pack in this race. It was very difficult to kind of move up. So here I kind of let a little bit of a gap open, and then I'm still braking, and I still had to brake going into that corner, but I did catch up. And this method you'll see kind of implemented a bit better later on. So I just wanted to show this back straight, looking at the power number that I'm having to put out. Just people are just sprinting through it. This is only 7 minutes into the race, by the way. And just the power numbers we have to put out just on that back straight. It's a slight uphill, but that was a very consistent effort I had to do. So I was kind of tired of being in the back. It's only 8 minutes still, so I'm trying to still kind of test things out. So here I kind of dive along the inside while everyone isn't pedaling. I make my way up, and it's the easiest place to gain positions, but it was a little sketchy having to dive along the inside there. And 2 minutes later, about a lap later, I did the same thing. I am kind of eating a lot of wind for this one, but I am taking the inside and gaining a couple positions. It just is so much more sketchy and a lot harder to just navigate your way through the crowd. So that strategy was just kind of not for me. So coming in here, I'm letting gaps open up. This was a preem lap. So yeah, preems were a big factor in this race because every single time people would just sprint for it, and then everyone would sprint to catch up. So here I let this pretty big gap open up, and I'm not doing that much effort, but it's a pretty significant gap because I know as people come into this corner they're all braking and I don't have to brake at all. I maybe tap my brakes here actually, but I catch right back up, just letting the gap open and not braking. So here, watching this person in front of me, he keeps like putting his head up, putting his head down, looking like he's kind of fading. So I kind of have to decide, like, do I want to keep sitting here or do I have to like move up? And with how significant this gap is, I think I need to move up, and the line that he's taking there is definitely not going to get me there. So moving up is a lot easier on the inside, especially when there's like a huge gap in front of me. So here was a pretty easy spot to just show off like more efficient ways of closing gaps. So this is 15 minutes in the race, pretty late, but I'm moving up, trying to stay towards the front now because I know it's about 4 or 5 laps to go, and it's just the race is only going to get harder the later it gets. So here is very tight corner, and something kind of interesting happens right here. This guy on my far left, he kind of looks over the shoulder and says sorry, and he just moves right over for me, and I think that was kind of like the funniest thing ever, especially for a category 5 race. So this is the last lap. I really wanted to talk about how hard we had to, what my thought process was on this last lap. I mean, I'm like 40th, 50th place, like I'm super far back in this field, and I just have to scramble to make up for all these positions that I wasn't in, because I spent so much time during the race tail gunning off of the back where I was letting gaps open up and then closing them as everyone else braked. So this last lap I really have to move up, and the most efficient ways to move up were definitely the parts where right before the corners where everyone wasn't giving an effort, and I just kept pedaling just to catch back up. Here my Garmin isn't working, so it's not showing my power, but I'm sure it was probably like 3,000 watts because I'm so strong. But yeah, coming into this, I know I have to sprint on this slight uphill back straight coming out of the third corner, so I really want to make sure that I'm in a good position to let like a huge area open up. And here I find the gaps that I need to. Right here, field goal opens right up for me, and I just have to keep going. And I'm a pretty good sprinter, so I'm pretty proud with all of the positions that I made up. But here the doors just kind of close up on me. I get slightly boxed in and have a difficult time coming into this last corner because I'm on the very inside. And I had to tap my brakes there just for a split second, but it really made the difference in my speed here. So here I'm just kind of holding my position, not really gaining any positions, and I ended up finishing 15th place. So for the amount of positions that I made up for on that back straight, I was pretty content with that last result. So I want to say a special thank you to Swami Cycling for sponsoring me during this race. And I also want to say thank you for watching, guys.